Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Sports Central. Today, we're going to be regrading every first round pick from the 2024 NFL Draft. So, getting right into things and beginning with the first overall pick where the Bears selected Caleb Williams. And I still really like this pick for the Bears, and a year later, they're going to get an A. Caleb Williams didn't have the best rookie year, but he also wasn't awful, as he threw for 3,541 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Now, Caleb Williams, he also was sacked 68 times, and wasn't in a very good situation playing on a bad Bears team, but there's still a ton of potential here for Caleb Williams. The Bears still likely have their quarterback of the future, and this gets an A. Moving on to the second pick, where the Commanders took Jaden Daniels. This is very easy, gets an A+. Jaden Daniels was great in his rookie year as he threw for 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions, while also adding a rookie quarterback record 891 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground. Jaden Daniels, a huge reason why the Commanders made the NFC Championship game, and this pick easily gets an A+ for the Commanders. Moving on to the third pick, where the Patriots took Drake May. This pick gets an A-. This is still a great pick for the Patriots. Drake May didn't have the best rookie year. He was decent, and he showed lots of potential, as Drake May appeared in 13 games, throwing for 2,276 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. And Drake May also didn't have a ton of talent around him, playing behind one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL with pretty much no weapons. But still a great pick for the Patriots, and they get an A-. Moving on to pick number 4, where the Cardinals took Marvin Harrison Jr. So at the time, I really liked this pick, giving it an A+, and I still think this is a good pick for the Cardinals, even though Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't have an insane season, but he was still solid, as he caught 62 passes for 885 yards and 8 touchdowns. Now, I still think Marvin Harrison Jr. is a good player with a lot of potential, so I don't want to be too harsh here, but I am going to give him a B+, because there was some rookie receivers who were better, but I still think Marvin Harrison Jr. can develop into one of the better receivers in the NFL. Moving on to the fifth pick, where the Chargers selected Joe Alt. So this pick I still really like. At the time, I gave it an A-, and I'm going to stick with that exact same grade. The Chargers, they got a great player in Joe Alt. He had a really good rookie season. And the Chargers, they also could have used help at receiver, and there were some great receivers in this class, but the Super Bowl was a great example of why the Chargers went with the tackle in Joe Alt instead of a receiver. Joe Alt, already one of the better right tackles in the NFL. This pick gets an A-. Moving on to pick number 6, where the Giants took Malik Nabers. This pick is pretty easy, it gets an A+. Malik Nabers had a great rookie year for the Giants, as he finished top 10 in the NFL in both catches and yards, as Nabers had 109 catches for 1,204 yards and also 7 touchdowns. Now, the only critique I have of Malik Nabers from his rookie year is he did struggle with drops, dropping 9 passes throughout the course of the year, but Malik Nabers already looking like an elite receiver and a home run pick for the Giants. The 7th pick, the Titans took J.C. Latham, and this is tough because it is tough to really evaluate an offensive lineman. Plus, this was a Titans team that was pretty bad. But J.C. Latham didn't have a great year for the Titans, as he was their starting left tackle, and he still has a lot of potential, but he wasn't great, as he allowed 7 sacks and 47 pressures, while having an overall grade of 61.8 according to PFF, which ranks 70th among tackles. Not a great year for J.C. Latham, obviously still very early in his career. I don't want to be too harsh here, I'll give him a B-. Moving on to the 8th pick, where the Falcons took Michael Penix Jr. So this is another tougher one, because Penix didn't really play a ton as a rookie, as he started just 3 games for the Falcons after they benched Kirk Cousins, and in those 3 starts, Penix was solid as he threw for 775 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Now, I've always been a big fan of Michael Penix Jr., and I still think he's going to be a good player, but as far as the grade goes, because he didn't play much, I'm going to keep it at a C+. Moving on to pick number 9, where the Bears took Rome Odunze. So at the time, I really liked this pick, giving it an A, and it still could be a good pick, but I think Rome Odunze had a fairly disappointing rookie season. And now I'm giving this pick a B-. Odunze wasn't bad, but he wasn't quite as good as I expected, as he finished the year with 54 catches for 734 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, there's still a lot of potential here for Rome Odunze, especially as the Bears as a whole improve, but not the best year for the Bears rookie receiver. Moving on to the 10th pick, the Vikings took J.J. McCarthy. So this is getting an incomplete because J.J. McCarthy didn't play at all, as he tore his meniscus in the preseason and missed the entire season, I originally gave it a B because I'm not the biggest JJ McCarthy fan, but it's definitely gonna be interesting to see what the Vikings will do at the quarterback position, but an incomplete grade for JJ McCarthy. Moving on to the 11th pick, where the Jets selected Olu Fashanu. So this is going to get a B+. And Olu Fashanu is another player tougher to grade because he didn't play a ton as a rookie. As he started just 7 games for the Jets because there was a few players ahead of him on the depth chart, but he was decent as a rookie, still a ton of potential, and one of the youngest players from the 2024 draft class, and I'm going to go with a B+. Moving on to pick number 12, where the Broncos took Bo Nix. So this is a pick that I wasn't the biggest fan of at the time, giving it a B-, and I did that because I didn't really think Bo Nix was worthy of a top 12 pick. But now after the season, this looks like a great pick for the Broncos, and I'm giving it an A+. Bo Nix, he had a great rookie year as he threw for 3,775 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. He led the Broncos to a playoff appearance, and this is a great pick for the Broncos as they found their franchise quarterback. But they get an A+. Moving on to pick number 13, where the Raiders took Brock Bowers. This is another great pick. The Raiders, they're getting an A here for Brock Bowers. At the time, I liked Brock Bowers as a player, didn't love the pick for the Raiders, but Brock Bowers was so good as a rookie. As he set the rookie receptions record with 114 catches and also led all tight ends with 1,194 yards. Brock Bowers, a great rookie season, one of the few bright spots for the Raiders, and this pick gets an A. Next, we have the 14th pick where the Saints selected offensive tackle Tulisa Fuaga. So this pick still gets a B+. Fuaga was solid as a rookie, as he was the Saints' starting left tackle. Wasn't the greatest pass blocker, allowing 6 sacks, but he was pretty good in the run game as expected, and a solid pick for the Saints. Moving on to pick number 15, where the Colts selected Uyatu Watu. So this pick gets a B- for me. Uyatu was solid as a rookie, as he had 32 tackles, 4 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. Now his playing time was limited, as he only played 54% of the Colts' defensive snaps, despite playing in all 17 games. But definitely some potential for Uyatu Watu with 38 pressures. A decent rookie year, gets a B-. Moving on to pick 16, where the Seahawks selected Byron Murphy. This gets a C+. Byron Murphy didn't have a great rookie year, as he finished the season with 36 tackles, half a sack, and 2 tackles for loss. He was pretty much non-existent as a pass rusher. He was decent against the run. There's still a lot of potential here, but not a very good rookie year for Byron Murphy. C+, but could be a lot better. Moving on to pick number 17, where the Vikings took Dallas Turner. So this is a pick I really liked at the time, giving an A+, as I thought Dallas Turner was the best defensive player in the class. But he didn't quite live up to the expectations I had from him as a rookie, but he was still solid, and this pick gets a B+. Dallas Turner, he had 20 tackles, 3 sacks, and even an interception. But Dallas Turner only played 300 defensive snaps. Now, he definitely showed a lot of potential despite the limited playing time, and I still think this is a good pick for the Vikings. And a year later, this pick gets a B+. Moving on to pick number 18, where the Bengals selected offensive tackle Amarius Mims. So this pick is going to stay at a B+. This is still a pretty good pick for the Bengals. The Bengals knew Amarius Mims was a project when they drafted him. He was very inexperienced. He started 13 games at right tackle for the Bengals and showed some potential, and that is why the Bengals drafted him based on his ceiling. But the Bengals' offensive line was pretty bad as a whole. Amarius Mims showed some promise. This pick stays at a B+. Moving on to pick number 19, where the Rams took Jared Verse. This is another great pick and gets an A+. Jared Verse was great as a rookie, as he won the Defensive Rookie of the Year, finishing the year with 66 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. But a great rookie year for Jared Verse in the Rams, and he should only get better. A+ here. Pick number 20, the Steelers took offensive lineman Troy Fautanu, and this is another incomplete. Fautanu played in just 1 game before he got hurt and missed the entire season, so incomplete here. Moving on to the 21st pick, where the Dolphins took Chop Robinson. So this pick gets an A-. Chop Robinson got off to a very slow start, but once he crossed the halfway point, he was an entirely different player, as all 6 of his sacks and 40 of his 56 pressures came after week 9. But Chop Robinson was a player drafted based on his potential and his insane quickness off the line. Definitely started to show that later in the season, as he even finished 5th in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and A- here for the Dolphins. Moving on to the 22nd pick, where the Eagles took Quinyon Mitchell. This pick gets an A+. I really like to pick the time, giving it an A, and this is still a great pick for the Eagles. Quinyon Mitchell, helped turn around the Eagles' secondary from being one of the worst in the NFL to having the league's top pass defense. And he had a great rookie year, as he had 46 tackles and 12 passes defended, and he was a big part of the Eagles' defense that was best in the NFL and a big factor in them winning the Super Bowl. But an A-plus pick here for the Eagles. 23rd, the Jaguars took Brian Thomas Jr. This pick gets an A+. Brian Thomas Jr. was insane as a rookie, as he finished the season with 87 catches for 1,282 yards, which was third in the NFL, and he also had 10 scores. But Brian Thomas Jr., extremely productive, and he did it on a pretty bad Jaguars offense. With the Jaguars, they'll have a star at receiver, they get an A+. Moving on to pick number 24, where the Lions took Terry Arnold. So this pick doesn't look so good after the season, and I'm going to give it a C+. Terry Arnold wasn't great for the Lions, as he finished the year with 60 tackles and 10 passes defended, which is solid, but he had a 93.7 pass rating when targeted, and he had a coverage grade of just 50.4 according to PFF. Now obviously it is still very early for Terry Arnold, and playing corner is one of the hardest transitions from college to the NFL, but this pick doesn't look great. I'm giving it a C+, although still a lot of potential here for the Lions. Pick number 25, the Packers took offensive lineman Jordan Morgan. This is another pick that's going to get an incomplete grade. Jordan Morgan started just one game for the Packers before he got hurt, and obviously can't say too much from one game. Pick number 26, the Buccaneers took Graham Barton. This is a pick I really liked at the time, and he had a very good rookie year. Graham Barton was the Buccaneers starting center, and he wasn't amazing, but he was very solid for the Buccaneers, and should only get better, gets an A-. Pick number 27, the Cardinals took Darius Robinson. So this is going to be the third and final player I give an incomplete grade to, as Darius Robinson appeared in just 6 games for the Cardinals, and didn't really make a huge impact, just 10 tackles and a sack, but didn't really play a ton. Moving on to the 28th pick, where the Chiefs took Xavier Worthy. So this pick gets a B+. Xavier Worthy had a slower start to his NFL career, but he still finished the year with some solid numbers, as he scored 59 passes for 638 yards and 6 touchdowns, and he was even better in the playoffs, with 19 catches for 287 yards and 3 touchdowns in the Chiefs' 3 playoff games. Now, Worthy wasn't quite the big play threat you would expect with his speed, as he had just 4 catches for longer than 20 yards, but this is still a great pick for the Chiefs. Worthy gets a B+, and he should only get better as he becomes the Chiefs' go-to guy. Moving on to the 29th pick, where the Cowboys took offensive tackle Tyler Guyton. This pick gets a C+. Tyler Guyton was always expected to be a project, especially moving from the right side to the left side, but he had a rough year in year 1, as he started 11 games at left tackle for the Cowboys, and it wasn't great, especially in pass protection, as he was penalized 18 times, which was second most in the NFL, and also allowed 6 sacks. Now obviously he wasn't expected to be a star right away, a rough season for Tyler Guyton, but obviously still a lot of potential. Pick number 30, the Ravens took Nate Wiggins. So this stays the same at a B+. Nate Wiggins had a very good rookie year for the Ravens, as he had 33 tackles, 13 passes defended, and an interception. Wiggins also allowed just a 50% completion percentage when targeted, which is third among NFL corners with at least 50 targets. And he also didn't allow a touchdown in his rookie season. But a very good year for Nate Wiggins, this remains as a B+. Moving on to pick number 31, where the 49ers took Ricky Pearsall, and this is going to stay at a C. Ricky Pearsall was decent in his rookie year. Obviously, he started late, playing in just 11 games, but he caught 31 passes for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. He wasn't the greatest, but the 49ers were also pretty disappointing as a whole. Ricky Pearsall still gets a C. And our final pick of the first round, we had the Panthers selecting Xavier Legette. This is another pick that's going to stay the same as my original grade, and that's a B-. Legette had a decent rookie year, as he had caught 49 passes for 497 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, the Panthers were really bad, but Legette showed some potential, and he gets a B-. But those are my grades for every NFL first-round pick from the 2024 draft a year later. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn notifications. I do my best to put as often as possible, and I will see you next video.